Thanks everyone for joining us this morning. My name is Michael Smith. I am one of the directors of Oracle Studio. We're a local web development and online marketing company based here in Townsville. So today I want to cover a pretty basic and primary topic that I think applies to any business essentially who is trying to have a presence online, and that is local SEO. So local SEO is primarily it's for when you're wanting to attract customers looking for a specific service in your specific geographical region that you operate in. So I'm just going to bump across to I'll just put together a little PowerPoint presentation. So I might just share this screen and we'll press on. Alrighty, so local search marketing is anything that you do on the web to promote a physical business that makes face-to-face contact with its customers. All right, so I'm going to share a little screen with you here. It's a little bit scary, and take the numbers here, with a grain of salt, but I think there is some truth here. So primarily, I'm looking at these three columns here. And this is the number of times a website is visited based on its search engine result in Google. Now it's across a very broad range of essentially every website out there. But if you look primarily in these top sort of 1 to 5, get most of the traffic, and really if you're sitting there on page 2, you're really not being found, and you're not exposing yourself to the number of people searching for your services online. So yeah, a little bit scary, but we'll press on. So so what I've done today with this seminar is I found a really good article, or a good collection of words on a website resource that I use a fair bit. It's called moz.com, and this is the link to the full article itself. So I've gleaned a lot of the wording from this article. I think they say it right, and there's no point sort of reinventing the wheel, but it enables me to sort of talk you through the article, and then if you want to deep dive further into some of the topics that we cover, there's this full resource available online. So essentially, we can break up local search marketing into this pyramid. The base, the foundation, is primarily our website. How we optimize our website, the quality of our website, and our website's authority. And we'll cover all of these in further detail. Next up is how our business is represented online. This third level is how we publish content, and essentially, we want to be continually pushing content out there on the web that links back to our business and our services. And then this top one here is your competitive edge, and finding those niche, those techniques and topics that your competitors might not be employing, and implementing those. All right, so first of all, the first topic is our guideline compliance. And essentially, a lot of your local SEO is going to be based around what Google governs and what it deems to be correct. And let's face it, Google is the be all and end all of search these days. I mean, I think most people go to Google, and so when Google says, hey, these are the guidelines for you to follow to be found in our platform, it's worthwhile paying attention to these and following along. So I'll just read this. The way you conceptualize and market your type of local business is based upon the guidelines representing your business on Google. Your Google My Business listing is the most important listing you build for your company. Failure to comply with Google's guidelines can result in ranking failures and even listing takedowns. So to play it smart, you must be able to see your business the way Google does and follow the appropriate guidelines. Now, if you want to read what those exact guidelines are, just do a Google search for guidelines for representing your business on Google, and you will find an article to read there. So the big takeaway here is that you must be transparent with everything that you do online these days. Everything you publish on the web about your business needs to be transparent, and it needs to be consistent. All right. Gone are the days where you can do sneaky little tricky things and try and manipulate the system to improve your Google ranking. Google's just way too smart in 2020 for those sort of tactics. So you just got to keep it real. Alrighty. So your Google My Business listing. So hopefully everyone's got one of these. If you haven't got one of these, it's really easy to create one. If you do a Google search for your business name, you might see something like this pop up on the side. Now, this is a business we've just started working with only this week, and in terms of their Google search. So you can see they've got their listing sort of optimized with photos and their logo and so on and so forth. But you may have one here and it may be relatively blank, and where it says this little bit of text down here will say, "Is this your business?" or something to that description. Click on that and then follow the links. Otherwise, you can go to google.com/business to start the process, and you will need to have a Google account to do this. So if you don't have one, you need to create a Google account as well, which will entail a Gmail account. All right, so once you've created your account, you need to make sure that all of your contact information, your business descriptions, your address, map location is always up to date. Okay, you want to add your primary category and then any subsequent subcategories. So let's say like I was a dentist, and dentist was my primary category. Some of my subcategories might be things like teeth whitening, dental implants, cosmetic dentistry, and so on and so forth. So that sort of helps Google understand all of the different categories and services that you belong to. Another good one that is potentially overlooked is setting up a short name. So you'll find this under the info tab in your Google My Business listing, and a short name essentially, like, it enables you to create a short URL that you can then share with other businesses or people wanting to direct people directly to their to your Google My Business profile. So something like these guys, it would be like g.page/NQ Physio Solutions, and that would take that person directly to their profile. Another cool thing is with short names is it enables you to create a short URL which you can then share a short URL, sorry, to take people directly to your Google My Business reviews page. So reviews, I'll cover the reviews a little bit later, but reviews are a really good way of helping to improve your local search rankings, and being able to get people to leave reviews, good reviews, hopefully. That's going to go a long way. So you'll find in your Google My Business, again, under the info tab, there'll be a little button there. I think I've got a picture of it on the next screen to take people to leave a review. All right. So the other things you want to do is make sure that you upload a logo. A PNG file is best if you do have that file format for your logo. It's going to come up sort of the clearest. and as well as you want to be uploading, business photos of things like your location, like the front of your office or the front of your shop. If you've got a nice shop fit out, examples of your services, and also your team. The whole idea of local search is to sort of I guess have that community, that hyper local approach, and those are the sort of things that Google picks up and gives you preference for in its rankings. And you can also add in videos and virtual tours. Virtual tours are something that it's a little bit underrated, and I do think they definitely help with your rankings. And there's you can, if you do go into Google's My Business page, there'll be an area where you can search for local VR content creators. And I know another fellow enterprise member, Neil Chan from TopSnap, he is one of them. So he can come along to your business and he can go through and take really cool 360 VR images of your shop, let's say, and then he'll post them up onto your Google My Business page for you. So yeah, so that's essentially what it looks like in the Google search results as well. All right, so once you've got your Google My Business page up and running, and you give it a little bit of time, you're going to start seeing some data flow through. And when you log into your Google My Business account, there'll be a Insights tab where you can sort of see graphs like this. So Insights will let you gain insights into how people are finding you, including what type of keywords they're using. And that's a really important thing, which we'll touch on in a little bit. See the number of people finding you on Google search versus Google Maps. See common actions that take place. And they can be users who have visited your website, requested directions, or simply called you direct from your Google My Business listing. Okay. And once you're live, if people are leaving you reviews, you want to try and respond to those reviews as quickly as possible, because your response time will actually, have some bearing in your overall search profile. So if Google can see that your business is active in the marketplace and the community, it's going to help you out. So you want to make sure you're responding to those reviews, and both positive and negative reviews essentially. And you also want to be utilizing the post tool. So this is I wouldn't say it's a new tool, but it's definitely underutilized. It's probably only been out for a year or two now, and posts let you promote certain things about your business. So they can be offers, they can be just some business updates. In this case here, we created one for NQ Physio, and it's an update that promotes a blog that they've just posted to their website. So excuse me. So that will, and I'll show you on the next screen where those posts actually show up as well. And so you can add in events, or if you're a retail type business, you can promote products as well. So this is just a screenshot of a map view for the same Google My Business profile. And you can see down here, that's what I want to show you here from the onus. This is where your posts will show up on the page, and they will actually show up in the normal Google search results as well, which is down here. I just haven't been able to fit it all onto the screen. They sort of sit down here. All right. So that's kind of like your Google My Business profile in a nutshell. It is super important. Like I said before, Google's, it is the authority on local search. So it really pays to put time and effort into making sure your Google My Business page is as optimized and as full of content as possible. And you want to be making sure that you're going back to your Google My Business page on a regular basis to do things like like doing posting or updating business information as it changes, uploading photos and whatnot. So I can't stress that enough. All right, so I'm going to move on to site authority, or essentially I'm going to move on to your website. And your website starts with site authority, and essentially, a site authority is is the page rank and the authority Google gives your domain, your website, based on search terms. So your website can accrue some authority simply by virtue of its age. That's why you see sometimes really poor websites still ranking quite high in Google, simply because they've had a website for a very long time, and there's not a lot of competitors in the market, or the competitors also have really poor websites. So sometimes age of the domain does come into play. But you can actively pursue authority by earning links and mentions of your business from quality, relevant sources. All right, so beware of links with low quality scores or schemes that attempt to inflate link count with no concern for relevance. So that point there, primarily, I think it is getting flushed out of the industry a little bit. But if you see SEO companies out there trying to promote their SEO services, and for a few $100s a month, this point here is probably they're probably playing a big factor in that, and all it's going to do is you may see a slight increase in your positioning and stuff like that, but long term it's going to have significant ramifications. All right, so industry surveys indicate that the quality and authority of links you earn have a major impact on your local search rankings. Okay, and you can check your domain authority by going to this URL here. This is on the Moz website, where I'm getting a lot of this information on this webinar from. This one here is a really good link. You can just punch in your URL to your website, check out your domain authority, see what sort of see who links to you, and a few other little bits and pieces. And you can do things like check your domain. You can be checking websites that are linking to you. So if a website is mentioning your business in a blog or something like that, you can check the domain authority of that blogging website. And you can also obviously check out your competitors and see what their scores are like. All right, so next point here is site quality. So if your website loads quickly, has sensible structure, renders properly on all devices, features high quality content, is free of malware or other malicious elements, and is easy for people to use, you're meeting the basic quality goals. Now, no amount of marketing can make up for poor user experience though on a website. So you want to have a professional looking website. I know there's a lot of like DIY website builders out there, like building platforms out there, which might be good. Like I know from my experience of running a web development company for a long time now, a good proportion of people have come to us after taking on the project themselves and then finding out that it's that it's too complicated, or they're not getting the desired look and feel that they want. So like it is, your website is a really important thing. More and more people are going to the internet to find services. I think I read a stat the other day. 4 out of 5 people use local search in finding services that they're looking for in Google. So, it does pay to have a good website, have it built correctly, have all of the right technologies and the functionalities in place, and also importantly to create a smooth user experience for your customers to be able to find the information that they need. And like some people may have the skills, the DIY skills to do something like that, but a lot of the time, it does pay to reach out to a local web developer and get them on board to help you on that journey. All right. Another thing actually that I will just say is on this malware and malicious item here. I presume a lot of people have their websites built on WordPress perhaps, or you know, some other CMS platforms, and they can be targets for you know, hacking and malicious activity and stuff like that. So whilst it's fine to have your website built on there, you need to be making sure that your website is free from these sort of attacking attempts. And sometimes they can be inserting code into the background and links that Google are going to pick up on that you may not be aware of, and it could go for months and months and months unnoticed. And that could be the reason why your Google rankings are you know, are moving further and further down the page, because Google is picking up that there's some malicious content on your website. So do, you know, keep your CMS software up to date, and there are a number of free online checking systems that you can use to run your domain in, just to make sure everything's clean and up to date. All right. So so still on site quality, but this is just a basic checklist to make sure that, you know, if you're building a website in 2020, you know, or if you've got an old website and you're looking to revamp it, you know, you want to be making sure you've got some of these key things here, and you might, you know, want to work with your web developer on some of these things. So first of all, you know, making sure that your website is mobile friendly, you know, mobile responsive. I'm sure you've heard that before, and it is crucial. You know, Google has explicitly said in the past, and this is going back a couple of years now, that it will place ranking preference on websites that are optimized for mobile viewing over websites that aren't. Simply, if you go onto your website and you go to your website and it looks really, really small and it's really hard to use, well, it's chances are it hasn't been optimized for mobile. It's free tools out there. There's the Google Mobile Friendly Test, okay, and that can just quickly tell you whether your website's optimized for Google, for mobile or not. And then there's also the Google Page Speed Insights. Now, this one here, it is like, to think that you're going to have a website with a 100% score on Google's Page Speed Insights is just, you know, it's unachievable. However, you can definitely use it as a guide. When you put your domain into Google Page Speed Insights, it's going to give you a score for mobile view as well as desktop view. But the sort of things that are going to bring down your score significantly are things that you may add to your website to add functionality. So it's about trying to find that balance. So things like an embedded YouTube video, an embedded Google map, tracking codes like Facebook pixel codes, and one of the big ones we've found is the Facebook Messenger chat widget as well. So all of those things, whilst they're adding great functionality to your website, they're also slowing your website down. Now, you could argue that, you know, like, it's not a massive degradation of quality for the user, but when you're speaking analytically, and something like Google Page Speed Insights is evaluating your website, those are the type of things that it's going to flag and say, hey, this is slowing it down, this is slowing it down. But yeah, so at the end of the day, you know, you can use it as a guide, and definitely you can run your domain through it, and you know, you might just want to send that over to your web developer and get them to peruse it, and you know, and pick out, and you know, if there are certain things that they can do to improve it, you know, that's great. But you may have to live with you know, your score being dragged down because, you know, you've got certain things on your website that you don't want to part with. All right. Okay. So another big thing, again, you know, Google wants to make sure that your website is secure, the content that is passing through, when forms are getting filled out, all that data is secure and encrypted. So you can easily tell if your website is running on a SSL certificate, because it'll start with a HTTPS at the start of the the address there. So if you don't have that, definitely get in touch with your web developer or your hosting company to get that rectified, because again, that will have Google will place more preference on websites that run SSL certificates. The next thing is have a sitemap.xml file. So if you're using a modern content management system, generally these things should be generated automatically for you. You want to make sure though that you're putting a link to the sitemap file on your website somewhere, and this essentially just shows the shows the search engines, a hierarchy and a breakdown of all of the pages of your website, so it can smoothly crawl through all of your pages and all of your content and successfully index your website. Include a privacy policy. So yeah, I mean, like a lot of websites probably don't have these, but they are important. It does show that you do care about your website visitors' privacy. When they're visiting your website, and you also you're gonna find when you're doing things like Google, Facebook advertising, Google AdWords, that they want to see a link to your privacy policy on your website to actually activate and run that campaign. So it is important to have that there. Google Search Console. So that's something that your web developer might have running for you or set up for you. It used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. It's been renamed as Google Search Console. And it's an important thing to have running on your website. It's really handy because what it does is it gives you email alerts when your website is falling outside of the guidelines outlined by Google. So that might be something like there's a dead link on your website, like a 404 page, or it could be that the text is too small to read on mobile devices, all those sort of things. So it's a really handy tool to have running. And when you log into your Google Search Console, you can also see things like like tracking your website's performance. It sort of works hand in hand with Google Analytics, but you can see things like like the top keywords people are using to find your website as well. And obviously, yeah, if you've got a website, you definitely want to be having Google Analytics run in the background there, and you should be actively logging in and checking the stats for that. So as you're doing campaigns and publishing content, publishing blogs and stuff like that, it's a great way to see, to track the traffic, see how users have interacting with your website after perhaps they view that landing page. What other pages are they going on and visiting? All of those are really good knowledge items to track and understand for when you're planning your next campaign, or working out what type of things to target. All right, so moving along to site optimization. All right, so the search engine optimization, SEO, of your website aims to increase your organic non-paid search engine visibility via both technical and creative means. By saying non-paid, what I'm saying there is, like your Google AdWords advertising. You must also understand that local SEO consists of everything traditional SEO does, plus geography. All right. So if you were, let's say you had a women's clothing label business, and you might be targeting keywords like women's clothing or women's fashion across all of Australia. But if you were a local clothing retailer here in Townsville, you might be targeting things like Townsville, or women's clothing Townsville, or women's fashion Townsville. Okay. You must understand that local SEO consists of everything. Oh, sorry, I read that. But in other words, local businesses' websites don't just focus on keywords about products and services and topics. They also highly feature terms relevant to the cities in which the business serves. Okay, so keyword discovery. So this is sort of the real the basis of how you structure your local SEO. All right, so keyword research is the process of finding, analyzing actual search terms that people enter into search engines. The insight you can get into these actual search terms can help inform content strategy as well as your larger marketing strategy. So an example keyword might be, in my example, simply the words Townsville Dentist. So I'm using a service and a geographical location, right? And that's, you know, if I owned a dental practice, that would probably be the #1 keyword that I want to be targeting. All right, so there's different ways to you know, to find out or to build a list of your targeted keywords through your keyword discovery phase. You know, I'd suggest starting with a spreadsheet or something like that, and just like writing down, adding all of the different keywords, you know, potentially adding some notes as to why you've chosen that keyword. But essentially, once you've built up a, you know, like a nest of keywords there, you can then go forward and actually plan out how your website's going to be laid out, what it's going to say, what are the pages you're going to add, and so on and so forth. So one of the sort of really easy ways to start building that keyword list is simply just to use Google search engine. So I've gone to google.com.au here, and I've just typed in the word dentist Townsville, and you would have seen this before, but essentially Google's providing you with a list of suggested keywords, search terms, and so from these we can glean, you know, some pretty interesting results and give clues as to what we should be targeting. You know, this dentist Townsville Afterpay is a really interesting one. You know, dentist Townsville Rossville Road, bulk billing. So these are some of the things that we're going to want to include in our search, our keyword search list. Another area where we can use to find more keywords. This one's a little bit more in depth, and it does require you to create a Google AdWords account. And by virtue of having a Google My Business account, you're also going to have a Google Ads account. So you want to be making sure you're using, you know, that same account across all of your Google services, including even YouTube and Google Calendars and anything else. So so when you go into Google AdWords, you can click onto the Tools button up here, and then look for the Keyword Planner tool. And you don't have to have like an active Google AdWords campaign to use this tool at all. You can simply just, you know, create an account and just use this tool primarily just for the purpose of finding some appropriate keywords. So I've typed into here Townsville Dentist, and then it's given me a range of potential keywords, the average monthly searches that particular keyword gets, and also from a Google AdWords point of view, you know, if I was looking at potentially creating a Google AdWords and targeting some of these keywords to serve up my ads, it'll give me a bit of a preview of what sort of money I can be looking to pay per click for that particular type of keyword. So I've gone something pretty broad here, Townsville Dentist. It's given me things like bulk billing dentist, emergency dentist Townsville, cheapest dentist Townsville. So there again are ways to find out your keywords. And then in the next screen, I'm going to go one further, and I'm going to hone in on one of those particular keywords that we had before, teeth whitening. Okay, and then it can drill down further into, I mean, like, unfortunately in Townsville, we don't generate the amount of search traffic that Google deems, you know, like, I guess, good or high enough for them to rank on. So, I mean, like, definitely people in Townsville are going to be searching for like Zoom teeth whitening Townsville, or you know, like if there were other sort of brands of teeth whitening, you know, they'd be searching for those, no doubt, in Townsville. However, we've got to look at these keyword ideas here and think, all right, well, this one sort of ranks really highly organically throughout, Australia. I'm going to add this to my local search keyword group. All right, so I hope everyone sort of got a little bit of insight into how you might go about trying to create a list of keywords that you want to go out and start targeting and creating content for. Next, I'm going to talk about how we can start using your keywords and what you're going to be doing with your list. So your keyword list should form the basis for the pages in your website. That goes without saying. Ensure you have consistency in using the keywords for meta titles, descriptions, page headlines, and page copy. You may have heard the word meta title, and essentially what a meta title is if we look at this little snippet from a Google search result, essentially this one here is your meta title, and then this text here is your meta description. Now, if you've got a website and like a page from your website is ranked in Google, and you haven't explicitly given a description for your page, Google's just going to pick the first 150 odd characters from the start of your page essentially, and blurt that straight out into your Google search results. So you've got to be thinking like your Google search results are like they're like a directory of ads, and you want to be using the wording in these descriptions to try and jump out to the user and to try and assure them that what they're looking for, your website caters for. You want, like a lot of websites don't go through and they don't optimize the title and description for every single page, but I can tell you that if you go through and spend the time doing that, it'll go a long way into your search engine rankings. All right, and we want to be making sure that, and obviously we want to be making sure that we're using the keywords that we've chosen in these descriptions. It all sort of filters through to the top there, and we want to be making sure that like any headlines we're using on the website are using our keywords, and obviously inside our page copy as well. From a content architecture point of view, we want to be making sure that we have a single page dedicated to each main service. So like I see a lot of websites out there where like you've got there's a business and they've got a particular service, and all they've got is a services page, and then they've got a little paragraph on each of their main services there on the page. Now, if you compared that to, say, I'll use a physiotherapy company in this case, right? So if I had a physiotherapy website, like my top level category might be something like our treatments, and then I want to be making sure that each of my main services all have a single page. So I'd have a page on physiotherapy, I'd have a page on hydrotherapy, I'd have a page on dry needling, and all of those main services. And what that does is it gives those services a good chance to actually rank for that particular type of keyword. So if I'm in need of, I want to do some like hydrotherapy or something like that, and I'm just searching hydrotherapy Townsville, well, there's a good chance that the hydrotherapy page is going to rank higher than my homepage because someone's specifically looking for that type of service, and it's certainly going to rank a lot higher than the other business where they've got a whole range of services all on the one page, and hydrotherapy just makes one small little part of that page. By creating a single page or a single topic, it really strengthens that particular keyword and gives it the best opportunity to, for it to be found in the search engine results. All right, so another really good way to use your keywords, both when you're setting up your website and then also, over time. Because once you've sort of built your, like say your service pages and stuff like that, you're probably not going to be adding to them that frequently, realistically. But if you have something like a blog on your website, that's a way that you can work your, your keywords into more content on your website over time and consistently. So, you can write blogs that are going to be, like that your customer is going to care about, that your customers are going to be searching for those particular services or questions, or answers to questions. They're really good topics to write your blogs on. And once you create your blogs, you want to be then distributing those, across things like like Facebook and LinkedIn, any sort of social media channels, as well as you can even reach out to industry bodies for your particular sector that you work in, and provide them. You could say to them that you've got this resource here, and would they mind linking to it? But essentially, having those keywords that you want to be targeting in amongst all of that content is going to go a long way in strengthening the correlation between the keyword and your website. Okay, so optimizing your homepage. So we want to be making sure, I'm not going to go into like heaps of detail here. You probably want to be, talking directly with your web developer about, the best way to organize this. But some of the big takeaway ones are making sure that you've got a H1 tag as close to the top of the page as possible. So your headings rank from 1 through to 6, and heading 1 is the most important. That's what Google hones in on when it's looking for the most explicit description of what this page is about. So, if I was going back to the physio company again, it might be something like, your local Townsville physio clinic or something like that. We want to be saying the service and the geographical keywords. All right, have a good amount of copy on your homepage. So you want to be aiming for sort of around 300 words of good copy, obviously integrating your keywords onto the homepage. And you want to be, it's still going to look nice and everything, but you want to be trying to get those words as close to the top of the page as possible. All right. Have your NAP, which stands for name, address, and phone number, in the header, the footer, or even both of your website. And I'm going to get into that one pretty soon. Use links, to send users to the main sections of the website. So your homepage is really, like it's a visual representation of all of the pages that sit within your website. So we want to, you want to obviously be linking from your homepage to your main services. You could consider adding some testimonials to the website, maybe in some sort of like carousel format or something like that. You want to be linking to your most recent blog, so you might have links to your most recent 2 or 3 blog articles on the website. And obviously you always want to have a clear call to action. You always want to, you've got to be thinking about this, because you're doing all this work to try and attract visitors to your site, but if they don't take action, if they don't pick up the phone or either call you or send through an email inquiry, that interaction essentially has failed, hasn't it? All right, and for the rest of the website, having a good linking structure and hierarchy of content. I sort of covered that before in terms of laying out the different services and how you would lay those out in the navigation. Continue to optimize the URL, the title tags, headers. Continue to have your NAP in the header and footer. One thing is worthwhile sort of mentioning to your web developer and getting them to add this to your website is adding some schema.org markup. So this is, I'm not going to get into the technicalities, but essentially like It's a structured way that that collectively search engines like Google and Bing and Yahoo and everyone use to sort of digest the content on your pages. So they're sort of like they're bite-sized little chunks of structured data, and that would be like things like your name, address, phone number, your Facebook URL, things like that, and they just go on to help the search engines serve up the most relevant pages to their users. But it is a really underutilized area of SEO, and it's definitely worthwhile spending some time to do it. You can go to the Google Structured Data Maker Helper tool. It's a really cool little tool there to actually build your schema data. If you're a business that operates in multiple locations, obviously having a page on each one of those locations is super important for local search. Create local content, and also don't use duplicate content. So obviously it goes without saying, but if you can massage geographical terms like say Townsville into your service pages, in essence like how a service or product can interact and can be used in your service region, is a great way to getting the word like Townsville into your page copy. Duplicate content, you may have heard that this is obviously a big no-no in the web world. So you can't just go to another website, rip off all of their content and place it on your website and think, hey, I've got some content. You'll get penalized for that, and it's certainly something that you shouldn't do, and something that will be certainly detrimental to your rankings. Use links throughout your blog to create a mesh of information between your articles and your service pages. Okay, so you want to be using your blog to, if you're blogging about a particular service that that you guys offer, you want to be linking from the blog to that service page to create that link there. You might want to link to the contact page, towards the end of the blog to create some sort of call action to make someone take action and make contact. All right, so I went over the NAP before, and I'll just go into this quickly in a little bit more detail. So the NAP is a common acronym for name, address, phone number. These are 3 pieces of data that make up the core of your business information in the world of local search. A NAP can be found on your website, on either another website like a business directory. These are commonly referred to as citations. NAP inconsistencies can misdirect customers, costing you revenue. Further, when search engines like Google encounter NAP variants, they can become less trusting of the data they have about the company, which can also result in lower local search rankings. And the final thing, to avoid NAP inconsistency, you want to audit all the places your business is listed or mentioned and correct any variance in the data. So essentially here, you're like wherever your business is represented, whether it be on things like Facebook or Yellow Pages listing, or your local directories listing, or your TripAdvisor listing, or wherever, you need to make sure, and it's really, really important that all of those, wherever your business is cited across the internet, they all match up, and there's no inconsistencies for your key contact information. That's going to be a big driver in how your website comes up in your local search rankings. So you want to be making sure that you want to make sure that you're consistently checking to making sure that they're all up to date. And there definitely are sort of like auditing tools out there that you can use to identify some of your or all of your citations across the net. So your NAP breadth. So a core task of local SEO involves helping your NAP spread across the internet. Much of this work hinges on building structured citations or local business listings on important platforms like Google My Business, Facebook, Apple Maps, Bing, Yellow Pages, and so on. You can also build important citations on popular niche directories that relate specifically to your local or geographic industry. So if you're like a builder, you want to be making sure that your business is listed on, like, say, Master Builders or HIA. The breadth of your NAP can grow as your business earns unstructured citations, mentions on social platforms, blogs, news sites, and other resources. So the more mentions, the more coverage your business has got across those type of platforms, the better it's going to be. The number of both structured and unstructured citations you earn is believed to have a positive impact on local search rankings, as search engines find your business is widely referenced across the web. Okay, and you can do all this work manually or use convenient tools that automate structured citation building in business directories and active location data management for you. One that I did find the other day was if you search for a Hot Frog digital presence scan, it doesn't cover every single directory out there, but it definitely covers some major ones. So that's a good free one that you can use there. Okay, all right. So another big thing that comes into play with your local search is your customer reviews. So your customer reviews may be the most influential internet factor for any local business. It's estimated that 92% of consumers read online reviews, and 68% state that positive reviews influence their feelings of trust in a business. Having a strategy for encouraging customers to leave reviews on a variety of platforms, the number of reviews you earn can directly impact local search engine rankings, while positive and negative sentiments in those reviews can directly impact conversions and earnings. Reply to reviews in a timely manner. Google actually times how long it takes you. So it's an interesting one, but it is very true. And as I mentioned before, inside your Google My Business dashboard, you're going to find a little section that looks just like this, and that's where you can find that link that you can add to an email to some of your loyal customers to try and generate those reviews. Obviously with good reviews comes bad reviews as well. So it's like there's certain things that you could potentially do inside your your bricks and mortar store to try and decrease the number of bad reviews, because they unfortunately don't go away online. To try and channel those negative reviews into something that's not so public. You could consider like putting a complaints form or something on your website. You could hang something like a sign, like have some sort of signage somewhere in your shop to say that if people are not not happy with the service, or they've found something that isn't satisfactory, to invite them to speak to one of your staff and try and resolve the issue there. And then on the positive side, you want to be incentivizing good reviews with your loyal customers to try and build up those reviews. Like Google reviews, I think is probably the one that you want to be focusing on, because it has the biggest correlation with your Google search rankings. So like I said, you might want to find that URL and send a nice little email out to your loyal customers, or as you've completed a job or a project for a customer, you might want to thank them for that and kindly ask them for a review as well. Okay, so I know we're running out of time here, so I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly, but I'm going to move on to the context of publishing and I guess having a publishing strategy. So the moment any local business steps onto the web, they essentially become a publisher. Your communications with consumers may include the basic text content of your website, a blog, video, image content, your response to a review, and your social media participation. Everything you publish should engage customers and expose them to your brand. Search engines not only measure content quality, but also the way in which users interact with content, meaning the content you produce should result in high levels of user engagement. Plus, your high quality content may be shared by industry and consumer bases, further promoting your business. You must devote time and creativity into developing and executing a publishing strategy as long as your company is in business. So I did want to go over some SEO, some YouTube tips on publishing, because I do think YouTube is a really great platform to create content and publish out there on the web, and it's engaging and it's really good. But I think I'm going to have to you can always go back to this slide here and pause it and read some of these. But I do find that YouTube is a really good one here, and there are some good tips on things to do when you're publishing a YouTube video. And then I'll move on to the competitive edge, and hopefully we'll have time to answer a few quick questions. Okay, so you can get all of your optimization strategies in place and everything like that, and but essentially, sometimes your market's saturated and you still can't get up to that spot that you're looking for. So you've got to employ techniques or strategies to give you that competitive edge. So it's gaining competitive edge in a crowded marketplace requires a unique effort for each business based on discovering opportunities your rivals haven't yet explored. So like an example might be something like if I was a tourism operator on Magnetic Island, I might have noticed that none of my rivals are making videos about great free things to do on Magnetic Island. So I could take that idea and I could then start producing some content about all of the great free things to do on Magnetic Island, and then subtly I can massage in some nice little links and promotions to direct people to some of my services that are paid for. But essentially identifying those little cracks in your local competitive market is where you're going to find ideas to find that competitive edge. All right, so I think that sort of like wraps up, I guess, what I wanted to go over. I hope I've sort of scratched the surface for you and given you some ideas and some insights as to how you might start planning your local search marketing. There is obviously help out there as well. If you do want professional help in managing, setting up and managing and maintaining your local search presence, you can certainly give us a call, and I'm sure there's a range of other companies in Townsville that can help out as well. Yeah, I'll open the floor if there are any questions at all. Nope. Okay, doesn't look like there are any questions. That's good. That's fine. If you do want to reach out to me, my email address is Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L @oraclestudio.com.au, and you can reach us also online at www.oraclestudio.com.au. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for. Oh, hang on. There is a question here. How often should you aim to update your website? Yeah, so that's a good question. Thanks, Alita. So as I mentioned before, it's you're probably not going to be updating like the services and your contact information, that sort of stuff, that frequently on your website. So using something on a blog, like a blog, is a great way to create new, fresh content on your website. That's where you can be posting up your embedded YouTube videos, and then and also obviously sharing those blog articles on your social profiles. And I guess you want to be sort of every 3 to 4 weeks might be a realistic time frame to try and post something on your website, and to show Google that you're also participating with your website and you're an active business. And going back to just quickly that other point I raised about your Google My Business profile, when you're posting a blog, you also want to be creating a Google My Business post to that blog on your Google My Business page. Amanda has asked, how often do you add to Google Business? I think I just sort of answered that question, but yeah, I mean, like, certainly, you know, when content, when any of your information, your NAP changes, or your service offering change, obviously update that on your Google Business, and using the posting feature. That's where you want to be actively posting. If you can show that you're this like hyper local business, and you're promoting events, or you're promoting you know, updates within your company, or blog posts that you're doing inside your Google My Business page, is going to go a really long way to getting your business ranking higher in local search. ClickFunnels. All right, so that's kind of like going above and beyond what what I was going to go over here, Tanya. But I mean, like, essentially, ClickFunnels are you know, they're you're setting up things like goals, like a website. So when people are visiting your website, that, you know, you're tracking where that user has come in from, whether it be like a Google ad or a Facebook ad or a YouTube, and then how they're and then, you know, they're getting to the page, and then how they're interacting with your website after they've also visited that page, whether they're taking an action through like a call to action form or what have you. But certainly, if you want to reach out to me, Tanya, at some point, we can definitely discuss that further, and we can help you get something like that set up on your website. No worries.
Okay, well, we might leave it there. So a big thank you to Michael. Thank you for giving up your time today.
It's my pleasure.
Everyone out. I know that everyone would really appreciate it, and it looks like they've got a lot of research and work to do after this. As always, if you do have any questions at all, then please feel free to reach out to us or go direct to Michael. Oracle Studios actually look after all of our websites here at Townsville Enterprise in Townsville, North Queensland, and they're always willing to help out. So if you do have any questions, then please definitely give them a call or send an email. As always, this recording will be uploaded to our website later this afternoon, and I will send an email with the link to that. So if you do want to go back over anything, you can. And we will be sending out a survey as well. But until our next webinar, thank you all for attending, and thank you, Michael.
No worries. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.